How's it going, guys? Panther Films here, and today we're going to be reacting to Season 1, Episode 1 of The Walking Dead, Dead Sea. This episode is titled Old Acquaintances. Now, before we get into the main part of the intro, I need to point out something. The title for this show is terrible. What the fuck? What were they thinking? The Walking Dead, Dead Sea. But yeah, here we are with the first new spin-off for the Walking Dead universe that continues past the events of Season 11. This spin-off obviously focusing on Negan and Maggie's adventures in New York, which I've been looking forward to the most out of all the other spin-offs, because the more trailers we've had for this show, the more I've got excited for it. Seeing New York in a post-apocalyptic landscape, the budget seems like it's there, and obviously seeing Negan and Maggie, who I enjoy as characters, especially Negan. I have a very strong feeling that this show's going to be good, mainly because it's 6 episodes, and I've heard rumblings that the budget has been put into this show a lot. It's around the same budget as the main show's Season 10, but it's in 6 episodes. So they can have 10 mil, 8 mil per episode for budget, which, based off the trailers, it's definitely showing. But it's crazy that we're basically getting a Season 11.5 with Negan and Maggie, which is set, I think, 2 years after the events of Season 11. I'm just not a huge fan of one thing based off the trailer, which is Herschel being kidnapped. I think the kidnapping stuff has been overdone way too much in the Walking Dead universe, but we'll have to see how it's handled. It might be pretty good. I was a little bit skeptical about this show when it was first announced, because it was announced as Season 11 was airing, so we already knew that these characters would survive. So it was a huge spoiler. But some of the stuff that was revealed very early on was the zipline stuff and hordes of the undead. And obviously having Negan and Maggie back on our screens, because it's been 7 months or some shit, right, since the main show ended. Yeah, I don't really know what to expect other than they're going after this new villain that's took Herschel, and they have to go through New York, and I think Negan's wanted, right, based off the trailer, which is most of my knowledge of this show. It's all based off the trailers. Yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about. So let's stop doodling around with this shitty intro and get right into the fucking episode. Goddamn. Did New York get bombed? It must have. Also, Maggie's already here. What? Looks good. Oh, Jesus. Wonder if they're going to play into the variant stuff. They have to, right? Surely. I mean, it's set after the main show. They've already dealt with the variants. That's the worst place you could possibly hide. Behind you. Maybe? I know it. Oh! Oh! Ah! Ah! Fuck! Holy shit, it's Glenn. That was more violence than the last 2 seasons of the main show. Jesus. Oh shit, new intro. Ooh! That's a nice visual. What the fuck? There's a chopper in the Times Square? Oh, not the fucking dare, dude. I like it. Don't know how to feel on the music, though. Very generic. I wish it was the main theme. But changed. Or Negan's theme from the main show. The down, down. So we're doing the digital cameras again for this show? I'm fine with that. Keep it consistent with the end of the main show. Who the fuck?
I'm not in the best headspace.
Electricity?
Got a guy here. He does grown work. He's the best I ever saw.
Negan.
Where's the little girl's room?
Down the hall.
Is she acting drunk?
First
Oh yeah, 100% acting drunk. Does she know Negan's here? I think Eli Jorn wrote some episodes of Season 11. Don't tell me Negan's in here. How did she find him? Also running water. He's in the shower, leave him alone. Who the fuck? Oh.
I've got a little message for Vasquez.
Who the fuck is Vasquez? What? Where the fuck? How did she... Oh, there he is. Hey. Kid. Oh, the map. Great. So why is she after him? And who's the kid?
Sorry. Thought you were better on your feet.
Good to see you too.
What the fuck?
Wanted by the new Babylon marshals. Well, goddamn.
Okay.
For a wanted man, I look good.
I sense old Negan back.
There's Annie, your kid.
Ginny, this here is Maggie.
Is she dead?
A few weeks back, I got raided. Took a hostage as collateral.
They took your kid.
I tracked him all the way up the Hudson. By then, they'd already made it across Manhattan.
How do I figure into this, Maggie?
The man who's got her show, they call him the Croat. Do you know what he did?
Whistled. Xavier.
It's the last thing I heard before I met you.
That crow.
Yeah, but how many saviors were there? There was a shit ton. I doubt he knew every single one.
Let's just say there were a lot of psychos in my crew back then, but he always stood
No
out
shit.
as being an exceptionally insane son of a bitch.
He never brought him up though.
You're the last person that I wanted to ask for help.
Why didn't you bring Carol or something?
Still got a decent setup at Hilltop.
We'll put up that girl. We see how things play out.
So Hilltop's fine. She just went out on a run and then Herschel got taken, I guess. I'm liking the colour. It's a lot more like vibrant. So is Ginny mute? Like she's not said anything. Some petty shit there. I hope they just don't ruin their final scene together. Because it was good. Why is only one of them turned? Also, why would she do that? Another flare? We just had one in there.
Same setup, just had to relocate. After you helped burn it down, if you recall that.
Fuck, stop holding that against him, dude. You rebuilt Hilltop. He did what he needed to do. Also, Maggie, you weren't even there. You didn't do shit with the Whisperers.
She was living with her dad. He turned.
It's me.
Who the fuck? Why don't you just walk out like that? Marshall. Oh yeah, this guy was in the trailer, right? Looking for Negan. And he's not alone. Bounty hunters in the apocalypse.
Check the wounds. Sorry, for sure.
There's always one amateur.
Have you seen this man? It's because he's murdered a magistrate in cold blood,
Magistrate.
along with 4 others.
Yeah, I recognise that actress.
Story goes he once lined up a group of unarmed folks, and he bashed in a man's head with a baseball bat
Where did they get these stories from?
in front of the man's pregnant wife.
Huh? Did Maggie tell him that?
I'm gonna ask you one last time. Have you seen this man?
Someone's gonna spill. What? And now they're gonna...
Gambling. Porter.
Someone took him! A woman!
A woman?
Yeah, I'd never seen her before today. That's it, I swear, that's it, I swear!
Jesus.
Aiding and abetting.
What the fuck? You just committed murder though. So should we kill you for that?
All right, I will come back for you.
What I did back there wasn't because I wanted to. It had to be done.
No, no, it didn't. So he's gonna be following them. Oh, Glenn! What the fuck? Damn, people aren't gonna watch this show. Nobody likes that. Jesus. She's dreaming about it. Fucking hell, I wasn't expecting a Glenn cameo.
When I was a kid, my pop, he went on a business trip or some shit to New York City, and he brought me back this little souvenir of the Statue of Liberty. And as generally was the case with my dad, something came up, I guess. Anyway, I still haven't seen Lady Liberty in the flesh.
You will now.
Ginny is safe. She is comfortable.
But where's Annie?
I could kill you right now. You see, if I'm dead, you don't get your son back. You need me.
Old Negan's back 100%. Which means he definitely lost his kid. Yeah. We're definitely going to learn what happened to Annie, right? We have to.
Smoke shows up like that every morning at the same...
Sometimes a building on fire is just a building on fire.
Yeah, but specific times? Jesus. Don't fucking flash by me.
Manhattan was one of the epicenters.
Oh.
Military destroyed all the bridges and tunnels hoping to contain it.
That's cool to know. But how's there a boat for Maggie and Negan? Conveniently. This kid's dead. Yep. Oh. Negan's gonna kill him.
You can try again, pulling on our heartstrings.
Every second he stays, he's a threat, a liability.
Yeah, or insurance.
But vengeful thoughts that I thought you had put to bed, clearly you have woken the hell up. You still think I'm the bad guy. I'm not.
Oh.
No one is. Maybe everyone.
He ain't wrong.
How many husbands and fathers have you killed?
I mean, he still laughed when Glenn died, so I don't think that could ever be forgiven. I've said it before, you can't forgive what happened with Negan, but you can definitely improve. But he's definitely not wrong. I've always said this. Everyone's kind of a morally grey character, which I love, instead of this straight up, like, villain hero. Dun 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 dun. New York.
Fuck me.
Oh, F-bomb. Thank you. Negan's got 2 F-bombs now. Well, not Blu-ray F-bombs.
Will you look after Jenny for me? Look after her for me.
God damn it, Negan. Every time, he just leaves people that he cares about. But I guess if Annie died, he doesn't think he'd be able to protect Ginny. So if he left, it might be for the better. God damn, dude. This is what I've been wanting. In a city. Ah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, for fuck's sake. You dumbass kid. Oh. Walkers from the roof. What fucking hell, dude? I mean, I predicted it.
Walkers are falling from the sky now.
What the fuck? Don't worry, it's just the bats. Yeah. They're all in the buildings. That's probably how people contain them. Led them into the buildings and then ziplined onto another building or something. This kid is fucking stupid. Oh. 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 Just exploding, dude. Who's watching them? God damn it, dude. I'm loving Negan. Like, you're just giving me season 7 and 8 vibes, which I love. Like, I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Negan, but he's just a charismatic character. And the best villain. Nice. It's hard to see because my monitor's terrible. Music? Can they not... Oh... Are they luring the hordes around the streets? Sacrifice a kid. Do it. What the fuck? Cockroach? I mean, that wouldn't bother me, other than if it was a spider. Fuck that. Oh! Never mind. Yeah, that's disgusting. That's disgusting.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope. Absolutely not. Why would they kill them all?
Charlie, Chris, it's me. It's Arnold.
Wait. It's the marshals?
Nobody gets out. I'm guessing you know this by now, but I'm a new Babylon marshal. I don't drink. I
Didn't
don't
ask.
smoke.
Didn't ask.
I like a good hog stew.
I also didn't ask.
I got a wife and 3 daughters.
How did the kid die? Oh! There's a... Of course there's a vat. Why wouldn't there be a vat?
Time I tell you to move, you move.
Oh! Now he's dead. You dumbass. If you see the glass breaking, back up. Negan, Saber. Actually, that knife in the boot is interesting. Oh! Oh, he's gone. He got up quick. Jesus. Finally, I can see. I'm liking the camera work. What the fuck, dude? That actually got me. That was fucking scary. What the fuck, dude?
What do you know about him? You can keep sitting there in the dark trying to freak me out. But I'm not saying shit.
And in death, the city is so much more alive than it ever was.
What happened to his hair?
You know where
Did Negan torture him? Hey, like, look at his whole hair's gone. Yeah, I know it.
New records, no?
What was he thinking there? That? Yep.
We make one badass team.
Tuh.
It takes a monster to make one.
Oh, was that Ginny? Nah, this is gonna be sick. This looks so good, man. Fear the Walking Dead writers. That is how you write a good episode. It was just better written, you know? Like, the characters were more entertaining to watch. It was intriguing to watch them, like, talk back and forth. And I was also interested in the new character, Armstrong. Funnily enough, though, Armstrong had more development as a character than Shrike did in 6 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead. So, would you consider Armstrong like a second antagonist, kind of? With Croat being the main antagonist? And speaking of Croat, is he the ex-leader of the Saviors? Or was that Simon? Because I'm pretty sure it was Simon, just based off like what Negan said in season 8. Maybe Croat was a part of Simon's crew, but we never saw Croat in season 7 or 8 of the main show, so it's kind of funny. And I wonder why he's called Croat, because that's not a very normal name to have. Is he Croatian? Like, is it short for that? And based off the dialogue Croat had this episode, I assume he was at the lineup. I'm just curious what happened to him, though. Like, he's got his ear completely cut off, right? And for some reason he's gone after Maggie after 10 years, right? It's been a while since the Saviour All-Out War arc. Will we get any kind of backstory for him? I hope so. Like, we actually see some flashbacks back to the Saviour's days. Ooh, I'd love that. Like, we get younger Negan, we get Simon, and maybe even Dwight in a flashback. Come on, dude. I still need a full Negan spin-off dedicated to his backstory. I want to see how the Saviours started. I think that's going to be very intriguing, and a lot of fans would love that. Or you could sprinkle it in this show. Also, without Herschel, it seems that Maggie's PTSD is coming up a lot more. You know, with the dreams she's having, the beginning of the episode when she was bashing in that walker's head, she was a lot more aggressive towards Negan too, this episode, because it's obviously bringing up memories. But yeah, this episode was pretty brutal. I mean, they showed Glenn's death again, which is big. They showed, like, the walker getting his head bashed in at the beginning of the episode. They had the walkers jumping off the roof and then just splatting everywhere. I'm liking it. You know, it seems that this episode of Dead City was more violent than the last 2 seasons of the main show. I know some fans might not actually like seeing that Glenn scene again, which I find stupid. To me, that is the best episode of The Walking Dead. Like, it's such a fantastic episode, from the acting, the cinematography, the editing, even the dialogue, to be fair. Just everything about that episode is so good, and it aged so well. It changed Walking Dead completely. For better or worse, though, because obviously people bring up all the time that The Walking Dead started declining when Negan showed up, but I also base that off streaming services really picking up around that time. At the same time, like, why would people get turned off from a show that's already proved itself to kill off fan favours. But then when Glenn dies, it's like, oh no, it's too brutal. Okay. Clearly you didn't read the comics. Like, I don't know what the fuck you were expecting. They were obviously going to show it. I mean, Season 7 had its problems, mainly with pacing, but it wasn't a bad season overall. I prefer Season 7 over Season 8. Season 8 just had way too many writing issues. Pacing was terrible. Like, the fact that most of the war was just one day. It was like, why? Granted, Season 8's second half was much better than the first half. I enjoyed the second half a lot more. Mainly because the first half didn't have a lot of Negan in it, and you didn't really feel that conflict between both sides. But then the second half, we got a lot more of Negan and Vic, so it felt like the war was a bit more urgent in the second half. Even though I've brought it up before, Season 8 didn't really feel like all-out war. It felt like one skirmish, and then one-sided battles. Also, it seems like this show is sticking to the digital cameras, which I think is fine. I didn't mind the digital cameras in Season 11 and the end of Season 10. But I do know some people aren't a fan of it, because they preferred the film cameras with the graininess. I didn't like the graininess though, especially when you watch it on Blu-ray, because when characters are looking off into a distance and trying to see something in the distance, you can't tell what they're looking at, because it's too grainy. It's like, what are you looking at? All these fucking pixels on screen? Like, what is that? I mean, thanks to the digital camera, it makes the scenes a lot more vibrant, right? Like, the more colourful, the more saturated, and you can actually see what the fuck is happening sometimes. Sometimes you can't. It is hard for me to see what was going on this episode because my monitor is terrible. Speaking of what happened though, that fucking jump scare at the end of the episode, what was that? The episode got me twice. I predicted that the walkers would fall off the roof, and then it immediately happened, but it got me because the headphones were so loud, and then right at the end, that was the creepiest shit I've ever seen. I guess that was the person on the roof, because they had similar hair, right? Also, that barricade on the street, like, what was that? A bunch of, like, buses and coaches lined up across two buildings? How the fuck did they do that? Like a crane? It's also interesting to know that New York was the epicenter of the outbreak, especially in America, and they cut off, like, they blew up all the bridges so nobody could get out. Obviously, that failed. It's just kind of annoying that there was suddenly just a boat there for Negan and Maggie. Oh, convenient. Why was the boat there? And then I guess Armstrong had the rowboat or whatever on top of the car. Or the canoe. But yeah, it's cool to have some F-bombs back because we didn't really get any in Fear. I have a feeling Maggie might be using Negan. Like, if she can't get Herschel back by force, then she's going to trade Negan for Herschel. Because obviously Croat has history with Negan. And maybe Negan was responsible for the air situation. I just hope we see that, like I said. Also, based off the dialogue, did it seem like Hilltop was gone? Like, Maggie said it's the same people, just a different location. And then she brought up the fact that Negan burnt Hilltop down, which happened years ago. Why are you bringing that up? I thought they were rebuilding Hilltop at the end of the main show. But I do find it weird that Herschel seems a lot older than he should be. Because it's only been 2 years and he looks, what, like 14, 15? When he should be like, what, 10, 11? Something like that? I don't know if that age gap works. I think there's been more time that's passed. I think it's been 3 to 5 years, not 2 years. Someone fucked up there. So I do wonder what happened to Annie. They brought her up this episode. I didn't think they'd do that. I think they'd just, like, completely forget about that character, but they brought her up. So I wonder if that means Annie's dead. Or she left Negan. I don't think so, though. She wouldn't leave Negan and to raise the kid on her own. I think Annie and the baby are both dead. And we're going to see what happens later on in the season. But it definitely seems like without Annie, Negan got attached to Ginny. You know, and raised her as his own. Because he's always been good around kids, you know. He was good around Carl. I'd say good around Carl. Kind of good around Carl. Lydia, obviously. And obviously Judith. I guess Herschel to a certain extent, maybe. But he's been decent around kids. So it makes sense he'd kind of get close to Ginny. However, he's planning to leave her anyway, like he always does. Because at the end of the day, when things don't go his way, he just pieces out. But based off the promo, it seems like Ginny's in New York. How the fuck she made it into New York, I don't know. I did love that Negan brought up that everyone could be a bad guy, and how many husbands and fathers has Maggie killed. Because it's a good point to bring up, but I've said it before, and I'll say it again, you can't redeem Negan. You can't. You can forgive him, maybe, but you can never forget what he did. Because at the end of the day, he still bashed Glenn's head in, and Abe's head in. We've got to remember that. It's always fucking Glenn that gets brought up, it's never Abe. Fucked up, dude. And he took enjoyment out of doing it. That's very different from what Maggie and Vic did. Sure, they killed people in their sleep, yes. And obviously, if you look at that from Negan's point of view, that's bad. And you can understand why Negan did what he did. And you could kind of understand why he took enjoyment out of it. Like, these people killed his people. So why wouldn't he enjoy killing them? Sure, it's a bit fucked up. But you get my point, right? Like, you killed people I cared about, so I'm going to kill people you care about and take enjoyment out of it. I'm not saying that Negan can be redeemed, but he can definitely prove his worth. You know? Like, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for Negan, I think the Whisperers would have killed the whole group. You've got to remember that. And on top of the fact that Negan did kind of save the day with the Commonwealth shit. Because, like, he drove the car and then Dowell helped him out and then he got the Commonwealth to tell, you know, Cal what was going on. Also, that guy at the end ziplining, what the fuck was that? That shit was dumb. But that guy who ziplined, in the trailer it looked like a walker. That was like a variant. I hope they do variant shit in this show. They better. Maybe the reason Maggie didn't kill Armstrong in that situation is because of what Negan said about how many husbands and fathers have you killed. Like, that kind of got to Maggie. Also, the actress that was at the bar, I recognise her from something. I don't know what though. And of course we got a new intro for this show, which I thought visually looked nice, but I wasn't a fan of the music that was used. I also like getting some backstory for Negan, you know, when he was younger, and what his dad used to do. Which, speaking of that, like, he used to get a souvenir of the Statue of Liberty, and Negan's never seen Lady Liberty up close. And now he will. Because based off the title sequence, the final thing that we see is the Statue of Liberty. I wonder if that means the finale's going to be like a massive fight on, what was it, Liberty Island? Maybe. But yeah, man, it just feels like the budget is there. You know, with the shots, with like how big the scope feels, like we're in a city again. The last time we were in a city was season 1 of the main show, like consistently anyway. And obviously season 1 of the main show had a bigger budget than season 2. Because they cut the budget in half for season 2, and then there was more episodes, and then they had to like spread the budget out evenly throughout the season. And then obviously we got very slow episodes that were just in the woods for the whole time. But with a spin-off like this, it being 6 episodes means they can pour more budget into it. Like the same amount of budget that they put into a 16-episode season, they can put into a 6-episode run. I'm definitely feeling that energy with this episode. And hopefully the writing stays good throughout the season. We've got 5 episodes left. I think they can handle it, you know? The plot is basically go after Croat and save Herschel, which I'm still not a fan of the kidnap stuff, but we'll have to see how it progresses, to be honest. But yeah, it just feels like Walking Dead is back and it felt like it never left. Which is why I wasn't like super emotional with the series finale of the main show. Because it's like, I mean, we've got the spin-offs coming. Who gives a fuck that the main show's ending? Because we get to see more of these characters. Who cares? I mean, that basically wraps up the shitty review. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Ta-ta and farewell.